Good evening and welcome to the local campaign. We're helping you make a more informed choice during the October 19th federal election. My name is Eric Drozd and I will be your moderator for this evening's debate. The riding in question tonight is Waterloo Region's newest, Kitchener South Hespeler. This riding consists of a portion of Cambridge lying north of the 401 and the southernmost portion of the city of Kitchener. Its westernmost boundary is Fisher-Holman Road and its eastern boundary is Town Line Road and the border of the riding of Wellington-Halton Hills. Now, the candidates vying for the representation of Kitchener South Hespeler are, in order, Nathan Lajeunesse of the Libertarian Party, Lorne Bruce of the NDP, Marian Gagne with the Conservative Party, Elaine Baetz with the Marxist-Leninist Party. David Weber is here tonight with the Green Party, and Marwan Tabbara is here as well with the Liberal Party. Now, before we begin, just a few notes and rules about tonight's debate. Questions will be provided by you, the viewer, and by our in-studio panelists, and let's meet them now. Those panelists are Lorne Wallace, the Executive Director of the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce, and Aaron Anderson is here as well, 570 News reporter. Thank you guys very much for being here. Good to see you guys. Now, if you wish to submit a question for our candidates tonight, you can do so by emailing us, localcampaign@rogers.com, or you can tweet us as well at RogersTVCable20. Make sure you use the hashtag #localcampaign. Now, the candidates will be given 1 minute for responses to questions. They will also be allowed 30 seconds for rebuttal if they are named in another candidate's response. The candidate's speaking order was determined prior at random draw to this debate. So to begin opening statements in this portion of the debate this evening, we start with Nathan Lajeunesse of the Libertarian Party. Nathan?
Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am excited to be here tonight. Thank you very much for including me in this live debate. I am Nathan Lajeunesse, the candidate for the Libertarian Party of Canada. I am an ironworker by trade. I am a family man with a loving girlfriend and a 1-year-old daughter. I have a lot of respect for individual decision. I believe in the ability of people to make reasonable choices and decide for themselves what is in their best interest. I have suspicion of government to make people better, to make the economy and society better, by coercing the individual to do things they do not want to do. I am very skeptical of economic policy. I am a true fiscal conservative. I believe most of the things government spends money on are spent interfering with free markets and individual decision, impeding with people's ability to just live their lives the way they want. I believe major parties are at some level the same. They are authoritarians. They all have views on the right way for people to live their lives. Libertarians want people to choose for themselves how to live their lives rather than government tell them how to live it.
All right, thank you, Nathan. And we'll now go on to Lorne Bruce of the NDP. Lorne.
Thank you, Eric. First of all, I'd like to start by saying this being National Seniors Day, I'd like to think that every day is Seniors Day. My name is Lorne Bruce, and I am proud to be here tonight representing the NDP. I am running in this election because I care deeply for this community and this country. New Democrats have a plan. It's balanced, it's responsible, it's progressive. Our plan will repair the damage done in Stephen Harper's lost decade. We will work hard to improve jobs, health care, pensions, the environment, our relationships with First Nations, and youth unemployment. We will create and maintain quality childcare spaces costing no more than $15 a day and bring in a $15 federal minimum wage, both measures that Justin Trudeau and the Liberals oppose. And in this election, the NDP are the only way we can defeat Stephen Harper. I look forward to hearing your questions and talking more about Tom Mulcair's concrete plan to undo Harper's damage.
All right, thank you, Lorne. And we go on now to Marian Gagne with the Conservative Party.
Thank you for the opportunity to discuss the Conservative Party's visions for continued Canadian prosperity and stability in a global economy that's full of uncertainty. Over the past 10 years, we've seen that Canada has the strongest economic growth among any of the major developed economies since the great global financial crisis of 2008. We will continue our growth by supporting small business, reducing taxes and cutting red tape for them. We'll continue opening markets for Canadian businesses through trade agreements. We will support families and seniors through income splitting and measures such as TFSA increases. We have a plan that's working. It's a low-tax, prudent plan rather than a plan of high taxes, high debt, and high deficits. That type of plan is failing everywhere it's being implemented. We will not implement such a plan in Canada because we want to leave more money in your pockets. Thank you.
Thank you, Marian. Elaine Baetz, Marxist-Leninist Party.
In this election, 50% of the people will, in the past election, 50% of the people chose not to vote. And in this election, I'm appealing to them to participate because we know that the prosperity that's promised is one that we have seen left 8,500 people without manufacturing jobs in this area. Over 3,000 people lost jobs in other sectors. And without us having a plan and a chance to participate in the direction of the economy for the country, and without a chance to participate in participating politically in deciding how that direction will be set, this country is a sinking ship that will further sink.
Thank you, Elaine. We'll go on to David Weber now with the Green Party. David?
Thank you. I'm David Weber. I'm a lifetime resident of the area with 28 years of dedicated, loyal service to you as a police officer. I was a progressive conservative for many years, and when that party ceased to exist, I threw my support behind the Reform Party, which rebranded as conservative. When I found that they actually didn't represent my values, I looked at the different political parties and found a home with the Greens because of the wonderful policies that they have that make sense and that really care about the people. Maclean's has a poll right now where Canadians are taking and looking at what they value, what they have important to them, and they're finding that they're very closely aligned to the Greens, and for good reason. It's policy that's designed by us, just regular folk. Now, some of my favorites are the guaranteed livable income, looking at eliminating poverty that way, free tuition, and health care and pharmacare. I hope that you learn about the Greens and appreciate what we represent and that we can represent you in government.
All right, David, thank you. And finally, Marwan Tabbara with the Liberal Party.
Hello, my name is Marwan Tabbara, and I'm the Liberal candidate for Kitchener South Hespeler for the Liberal Party. In the past several weeks, I've met many constituents who are working multiple jobs, just trying to make ends meet. I too have worked multiple jobs, overtime shifts and weekend shifts, and it's getting harder and harder to make ends meet. I am concerned about the high youth unemployment. Our business faces serious challenges due to decline in manufacturing. Improved transportation infrastructure as well as regular all-day train service is needed in this area. In the past decade, Stephen Harper's government has taken us down the wrong path. That's why I have joined Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party of Canada to work to return to Canadian values and make a difference with policies that make life a little easier, because better is always possible. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, for your opening remarks. And we'll move right into the question phase now. And our first question will come courtesy of one of our in-studio panelists. Let's go to Lorne Wallace, the Executive Director of the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce. Lorne?
Thank you. So our officials are elected not to be extensions of the federal government, but to be extensions of the people. In fact, of the people, by the people, for the people comes to mind. Most Canadians, certainly business leaders, would agree that government generally doesn't seem to listen. Communication may occur, but consultation seems to be lacking, and we often hear people say that nothing ever changes. We have a new riding now, and you're all new candidates, and one of you will be the new MP. What will you do to ensure that the businesses and the people of Kitchener, South Hespeler will have their voices heard?
Lorne, thanks for the question, and this question will be first answered by Lorne Bruce of the NDP party. Lorne?
Sounds odd to say, Lorne, thank you for the question, first of all. I look at this as a huge opportunity for Kitchener South Hespeler. Having worked in the region in almost every corner of it for 28 years now, and being a resident of Hespeler has given me the unique opportunity to meet literally thousands of residents. Through my work at Zehrs, I see people from all walks of life, and it's very important to talk to people, and I see them struggling every day buying groceries. We all know the high price of groceries. And through that period of time and through my work with sitting in different boards, have also given me the opportunity to talk to local elected officials municipally and provincially. And I've developed those relationships, and they know that I'm very much a consensus builder and a cooperative individual who seeks to get the answers that we need. We can agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, the issue is still in front of us. So we can't forget that, and we have to work for the best interests of those we represent, or in my case, those who have hired me to represent them.
Thank you, Lorne. Marian?
Thank you. You asked about small business and how we could represent small business. My background is small business. For almost 30 years, my late husband and I started and maintained 2 businesses. So I understand what it takes for a small business. I would love to be able to cut more red tape for business, and we do have a Red Tape Reduction Act, which is something that our government has passed and is going to continue improving. As far as making sure that your voice is heard, that's one thing. It starts with a campaign. I've been knocking on doors. I think I've hit about 14,000 doors now, so I've heard from many of you. Another thing that we've done in this campaign, and we start as we intend to go along, we have 2 campaign offices, one in Hespeler, one in Kitchener. We want to listen. I want to listen to you. I'm starting that in this campaign, and I will continue to listen as if I have been given the honor of being your first representative, the first member of Parliament for this new riding.
Marian, thank you. And we go on to Elaine now. Elaine?
In this election, we have an opportunity to have a say, and that is to say how we're going to block this agenda, this neoliberal agenda that is destroying the country. Manufacturing has declined. We have no bright future for our youth. So so in terms of involving people in a discussion, the discussion has to start now. How are we going to stop this agenda? How are we going to ensure that we have a say in the decisions that get made politically, as well as in the direction of the economy, what manufacturing is required, what direction that economy will go in terms of guaranteeing the rights of all in the country. That is part of the discussion that has to happen.
Thank you, Elaine. We'll now move on to David. David?
We have had a growing problem of the community's views not being heard in government. We're more and more just hearing the government's views, what they want, delivered to us. Even within political parties, when they get together and decide what their policies will be, with the Liberals, the Conservatives, and the NDP, ultimately it's the leader that decides what policies he's going to embrace and what he's going to put forward. And those parties are very whipped. We're seeing it more and more so where the MPs are only voting along the party lines. The Green Party decides its policy based on the general membership, not by the leader. And then it's written right in our charter that we have to represent the constituents first. We're not allowed to put the party and its well-being before the constituents. And then next, we have to put the interest of Canada as a whole. We need proportional representation so that we can actually free MPs to represent their constituents, and they are elected in the same percentage that everyone is supporting each party.
Thank you, David. And Marwan?
That's a great question, and I've been going door to door, and I've been hearing that same question is people are upset. They're saying, well, why should I vote? I mean, my concerns are not being heard. They're not being met. And it's troubling to hear that. And what I would like to do if I was your MP, what I'd like to implement going forward is kind of town hall meetings, whereas maybe once every 3 months or so, you can come in with your issues and concerns, and we can collectively come as a community and talk about these concerns. And this is something that I would want to implement if I became MP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marwan. And finally, Nathan.
Thank you. To help the business owners, we need less government, lower taxes, and sound money. How can a business owner plan for the future if he cannot predict what our currency is going to do, what the unnatural interest rates are going to do for the next year? We need monetary reform. We need to cut the red tape. We need to make it as easy as possible for Canadians to start and grow a business. We need to teach Canadian employees that they need to get much more competitive. Unnatural minimum wages only put those with not enough skills and not enough productivity to work. Out of work, sorry. We need to teach Canadians that they need to improve their skills, increase their productivity, and help their employer make money. If your employer is not making money, you will not be either. The government needs to get out of the way and allow Canadians to do what they do best: create, innovate, and improve.
Thank you, Nathan, for that. And we'll jump right into another question. You have to be mentioned by name to get a rebuttal. Right. You have to be mentioned by name to get a 30-second rebuttal. So we'll jump right into the next question, courtesy in-studio panelist Aaron Anderson, 570 News reporter. Aaron?
Now, Kitchener South Hespeler is a growing neighborhood with a lot of families and commuters. It's one of the fastest growing neighborhoods in the region. Investment in infrastructure is incredibly important to the people that live there, making sure they have what they need. What do you plan to do individually as an MP to make sure that those needs are met? Thank you, Aaron. And the first question to Marian.
Thank you. That's a very good question. We've heard quite a bit about transportation as part of the infrastructure. So the two-way, all-day GO train, if you say that fast enough, you'll trip over it. I think it is something that we should explore. I'd like to see how the federal government could take a little piece of that puzzle, perhaps, going forward. That's one of the things that we need here. Now, as far as infrastructure, Building Canada Fund, $53 billion over 10 years is what our party is talking about. And as a member of Parliament, I would like to work with the other members of Parliament, with the mayors as well as community leaders, and seeing what we need, rather than imposing and saying, this is something that we are going to bring to you. We need to consult, we need to talk about what is needed in the community, and then go forward from there. So as well, we will have a large transit policy, and so as far as infrastructure, again, it's mostly about talking and working with the fund that we have set up.
Marian, thank you, and we move on to Elaine.
Starting from the perspective that we need to guarantee the rights of all, that as a starting point in terms of infrastructure, one of the things that the regional chair of Waterloo has identified as being needed in the region of Waterloo and undoubtedly throughout the rest of the region is housing, affordable housing, to end the waiting lists that reach up to at least 6 years. In addition, we need to in order to guarantee the rights of all, whether it's to health care or to education, whatever infrastructure is required to do that, that's what's needed. It's not we can make any promise that we want, though, standing here. The issue is, though, what is the direction of the economy that we are proposing to put forward in this election? Is it to guarantee the rights of all or that of the monopolies?
All right, Elaine, thank you very much. We'll move on to David.
There's a consensus that it is about $350 billion that our infrastructure has been shortchanged in the past, and that is a huge deficit that we need to make up. The Green Party is targeting $6.4 billion per year to help make up for that shortfall. We would need to target a lot of our infrastructure to be rebuilt in a smart way. There's no point in building something to only have it crumble and decay because it's built to withstand the weather and the climate that we had 50 years ago. As we have increased droughts and increased flooding and deeper freezes into the ground, we need to build smart and appropriate to the weather that we're going to have in the future. We do need a national transportation strategy that links with our local infrastructure. I would like to be able to walk down the street a short distance, get on the public bus, take it to the hub where I can maybe get on to a high-speed rail, and that from Windsor to Montreal, I can ride and get to Toronto in 20 minutes.
Thank you, David. Marwan.
Yes, the Liberal plan, we're investing $125 billion in infrastructure, and part of that infrastructure will be for transit infrastructure, which will invest $6 billion in 4 years. And we need that because we have a lot of commuters right now that are in Hespeler and in Kitchener, and they're commuting on the 401, and it's taking so much time for them to get home, and it's taking away their time instead of time well spent with their family. So our plan, a historic plan that the Liberal Party will bring, is $125 billion in infrastructure, and that's how we're going to tackle the infrastructure deficit.
Thank you, Marwan. Nathan?
Thank you. As I said before, I'm an iron worker. I have worked on many bridges. I have helped build bridges. I have worked on all over the province and plants. Infrastructure in Ontario and all across Canada is done by Politicians who build the cheapest possible thing they can to get the next election. Bridges were made out of steel, and they're still 100 years old, and they're still standing. Concrete bridges are crumbling every day. Keep that in mind. Our infrastructure needs are very different than what PEI's are, what British Columbia's are. I would say flat tax plan for 15% for all Canadians, give the people back their own money, and let each community decide what their infrastructure is needed with their own money. I want to build a country around families and community, not the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. And Lorne.
Thank you, Eric. Infrastructure is a very important topic that comes up at almost every meeting I'm at with community groups, community leaders, local politicians. We've come out with a plan to have a predictable, sustainable plan for municipalities, and when it comes to the physical part of infrastructure, we definitely will let them make those decisions as to the roads, bridges, have the priorities, because it's the local government officials that have their hands on what priorities are needed locally, whether it's here in Hespeler or in Kitchener. Everybody has their different priorities, but we will give them that stable funding so they can actually budget for it. The other part of the equation is social infrastructure, and through discussions with local municipalities and city council, that's a huge issue as well when it comes to affordable housing, when it comes to health care, when it comes to affordable daycare. These are the issues that will actually help our communities grow and make life a lot more easier for people to prosper. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lorne. And candidates, our next question is coming via Twitter, so if I can direct your attention right there to the big screen, and Elaine will be the first to answer this question. It comes from Jeff, who says, I want my MP to have a mind of their own. Name one of your party's leaders' platform points that you disagree with. And this goes to Elaine first.
Well, I can't say that I do, and I can't say I do. If that means I have no mind of my own, the issue isn't, the issue in this election for us is how do we establish a direction in the economy which effectively will guarantee the rights of all. So within that, that means that on the question of the environment, you have, we need to have a say, but keeping in mind the rights of the First Nations people, that of, and Mother Earth. Those are on the question of meeting the needs of us all. I don't disagree with the platform. It's
all right, Elaine. Thank you, David.
That really is a good question, and it's one that I, like Elaine, I sit and I really think to myself, the reason why I love the Green Party platform is because it is made by the general population of people that just care about smart business, the environment, health, education, taking care of one another, and taking care of our planet. And the policies make sense. If I had to be pushed to one thing, I could say, well, I don't really know a lot about thorium reactors, but my understanding in a limited way is that maybe they're not as bad as uranium reactors. They don't have as long-lasting pollution. There's research and development going on in China, and they're looking at them. And if it doesn't have the same kind of problem as uranium nuclear waste, maybe it's something we can look at, but the Green Party has kind of said, no, we don't want to look at nuclear at all. But I don't even know if that's feasible. So,
thank you, David. Marwan.
At this moment, there's nothing that I would disagree with on the party. I believe that we have a strong party, and we believe in equal values for all Canadians to achieve prosperity. So at this moment, no, there's nothing that I disagree with the party.
Marwan, thank you. And Nathan?
Thank you. I'm very excited to get that question. The interesting part about the Libertarian Party of Canada is Tim Moen, the leader party, the only two restrictions he put on me was, do not use physical force on anyone. Do not initiate laws or legislation that infringe on individual rights and property rights. That was it. The rest of the party, the rest of the platform, I agree with. The one thing I do disagree with him is I would like him to put more emphasis on monetary reform. I think more Canadians need to realize about fractional reserve banking, fiat currency, unnatural interest rates, and what our dollar is actually backed by. And they need to look up what the petrodollar is and find out why we're actually in Syria. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Lorne.
I, too, don't find anything in particular within the platform of my party. I've been pretty much a lifelong New Democrat. I've been in those policy discussions. It's not only allowed in part of our Constitution, but it's encouraged. And so we have very healthy debates over a long range of issues. And when you go to a convention, there's thousands of Canadians represented from all different regions and proposals that come into the convention from the different regions. So we have wholesome, hearty debates, and I'm proud to be part of that democratic process. Again, it's consensus building and reaching a team approach to all the different issues that face us around the world, in our country, and in our regions, and our local communities.
Lorne, thank you very much. And Marian.
Well, like the other candidates, I would have to say that the reason we are here as candidates for our party is because we agree with the party platform, as do I. You know, just as Lorne was saying, I've also been to those policy conventions, every one since the Conservative Party was formed. I've been there at 8 in the morning, hammering out policy, talking with hundreds, if not thousands, of other Conservatives from across the country. I've seen how the party platform is built, how our policies are built, and I agree with them. I think this is more of a wish for myself. I'm the mother of a veteran. My son Daniel was served in Afghanistan. So I'd like to see if we could tweak the Veterans Charter. So it's not so much something I disagree with in the party platform, but I think if there's any work needed to be done going forward, I would like to be able to do that work.
Thank you, Marian, and thanks to Jeff as well on Twitter for that question. I'll just like to remind everybody watching at home tonight that we have about 35 minutes left. If you'd like to email in questions, by all means, you could do that. The email address is thelocalcampaign@rogers.com, and you can tweet in as well at RogersTVCable20. Make sure you're using the hashtag #localcampaign. Now, Lorne, you were mentioned there. Did you want to say anything more?
Well, it's not so much a rebuttal, but it's also an augmentation to my original statement talking about the party. We're very proud to have such a diverse number of people from across the country. We have the highest number of women ever nominated by any party in Canada's history for this election, and we also have a very high, I think it's the highest number of Indigenous people running for us in the party. So it's important to know that what a diverse group, and it really is really good discussions that we have when we develop our policies.
All right, Lorne, thank you very much. We now go over to the other Lorne in studio, Lorne Wallace, the Executive Director of the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce, for our next question, which will go to David next.
Thank you. We see a government here in Ontario attempting to institute a pension plan system, claiming that the old age security and Canada Pension Plan are not adequate. We've heard one of the rationales recently at the Chamber of Commerce from the government that the young people can't be trusted to be financially responsible, thus the need to provide this pension system for when they are 65. If that is one end of the spectrum, and the other end, quite frankly, would be the number of government-controlled workers, school teachers, hydro workers, et cetera, who can retire at 55. We have a sort of a disconnect here. What will your party do to deal with the fact that all Canadians need to be financially secure in their retirement, treating them equally age-wise?
All right, thank you for that question, Lorne. David.
Thank you. Financial security is very important. The Canada Pension Plan can be improved, and if we improved the CPP, there wouldn't be a need for Ontario to be getting involved to try to fill in that crack, that hole being left behind by the federal government inappropriately dealing with that fund. The answer that I have for that is the Green Party has a guaranteed annual income platform that this policy is going to get rid of poverty for young, middle, and older people, all ages. We believe that nobody should have insufficient funds to be able to pay, to have a roof over their head, to be able to eat, and to be included in society. And right now that is about a $20,000 level is what we market at, and that can change. But basically anybody that makes less than that would get topped up to that, and your first $20,000 of income would always be tax-free.
Thank you, David. Marwan?
Yes, the average 35-year-old right now puts away half of what his parents did. So that's a big concern for people that will be retiring. What the Liberal Party wants to do is that we want to invest $840 million by 2019. That will benefit 125 million seniors, and it will also help 900,000 single women as well. Also, the average pension right now, or sorry, a maximum pension right now, CPP, is just a little over $1,000. The average Canadian pension plan right now is just a little over $600. So this is why the Liberal government is committed to increasing investment for seniors so that they can have a dignified retirement.
Marwan, thank you. And we move on to Nathan.
Thank you. I believe in individual rights and individual accountability. I believe in a 15% flat tax plan. Raise the minimum amount from $11,000 to $17,800, $4,000 for every child you have, for a disability, for every senior, and for every student. We need to simplify the tax code and give the money back to every single Canadian and make them more accountable for their actions. I believe the CPP is in some ways theft. The original contributors, I've read in many places that they received 17 times what they contributed. I'm reading now that today's contributors are getting 2/3 of what they put into it. Where's that money going? These government-funded programs are actually stealing the wealth right out of Canadians. I think Canadians need to realize that the government's not going to be there to protect them and take initiative in their own lives. The CHMC, also government-funded, gave $69 billion to our 5 major banks in 2009 to pull them out of the water, and not many Canadians are even aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. And Lorne.
Pensions are a very big, important issue for me. Before I ran municipally in 2010, I was actively lobbying the government with the Canadian Labour Congress and the NDP to strengthen the CPP. At that time, we had 7 provinces on board, which represented the majority of Canadians, and even the former Finance Minister, Mr. Flaherty, said something needed to be done. Unfortunately, Mr. Harper stood up in the Commons and said, not now. Now, fast forward to 2011, when I was a candidate for the NDP, my Conservative competitor never once mentioned anything about any adjustments to CPP, even though I kept pushing and saying we need to enhance it. It's the best retirement platform here in the country for all involved. And unfortunately, nothing happened with the Conservative government to improve that. However, Mr. Harper made the announcement in Davos, Switzerland, and decided to change the retirement age from 67 to 65, which represents $13,000 out of your pocket.
Thank you, Lorne. Marian?
The question initially talked about the Ontario pension plan that's being proposed, and we will be fighting that. Our Prime Minister has said that this is a tax that will take far more money out of your pockets at a time when many Canadians are struggling. What we have done are things that are very practical: tax-free savings accounts, TFSAs, and we will be doubling those. That's what we've proposed. And at the doors, I've heard many times that this has been such a wonderful way for seniors to roll over some money out of their RSPs or RRIFs. It's a big improvement for them. It's something that the other parties are proposing to take away. We want to help you with your retirement. We want to make sure that your money is there, that you can shelter it from taxes if you want to. So that is something that we will keep. We will fight the other pension plan, Ontario's pension plan, but we will continue to look out for our seniors and for those who need the pension money.
Thank you, Marian. Elaine?
Workers in Canada should be taken care of from birth until passing away. What many have experienced, and many in this area as well, is that the money that they have agreed to set aside, that they have worked for, that they have earned, that they have agreed to be set aside for their pension plans, has been has evaporated when the companies shut down. So this is a problem that's facing them. Workers are accused of not saving for that rainy day, but they have saved, and that money has been taken. The pension plan should be set aside. It should just be there for people in their retirement.
Thank you, Elaine. And we'll move on to our next question now. And this question will go to Marwan first. And here is Aaron Anderson of 570 News.
Now, access to a secure retirement is obviously important for a lot of Canadians, but especially for residents in Kitchener South Hespeler, where there's a lot of families. Childcare is incredibly important to them. Being able to have access to affordable childcare programs in the area, it varies across the country currently. What do you plan to do as an MP to make sure that there is the proper access to that?
Aaron, thank you for the question. Marwan?
Well, with our social infrastructure plan, we're investing $6 billion in 4 years, and that's going to go towards investing in child care facilities. And also our child benefit plan. If you're a single mom making $45,000 an average salary, we're going to increase the child benefit plan to $5,380. That's $2,000 more than the Conservatives right now. And our plan is tax-free, whereas the Conservatives' plan, when you do your taxes, they're taxing you on that income of the child benefit plan. So our plan will be tax-free, and it will help those families.
Thank you, Marwan. We'll go to Nathan.
Thank you. Again, 15% flat tax plan, give the money back to the people and let them decide what they want to do with it. If you have children and you want to put them in daycare, you'll have more of your own money to spend towards that. Also, we will raise the tax-free bracket from $11,000 to $17,800. I believe many more spouses will be able to stay home and make a little bit of money on the side under those circumstances. Maybe even open a daycare of their own. Thank you.
Nathan, thank you. Lorne?
Well, as many people know, childcare is a huge part of our platform. It's something we've studied and we've seen the results. The Quebec model has proved it. When you have childcare spaces available, and that is the big question people have to ask, because you can get an incentive of $60 extra or $100 extra, but if those spaces don't exist, it doesn't help. So when you look at the Quebec model, now they're upping it from 7 to about 9 from what I say, and we're proposing a $15 cap. If you look at, not only is it the right thing to do, but also economically it makes sense. So for every dollar you put into the plan, it pays for itself because $1.75 comes back into the economy. And the latest numbers that I saw out of Quebec, that their actual GDP rose by 2%. So it's not only something we have to do, it's something we can't afford not to do.
Thank you, Lorne. We'll go on to Marian.
I agree with our government and with so many Canadian parents who work hard to care for their children that a one-size-fits-all approach to childcare, it's really impractical. Mom and dad are the experts in determining childcare needs. So our government created the Universal Child Care Benefit to give parents choice and flexibility regarding their child care. Our enhanced Universal Child Care Benefit benefits every Canadian family with children under 18. Our program is fiscally responsible. It benefits every family with children, instead of benefiting only those who work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, under a national daycare program.
Thank you, Marian. Elaine?
We need a national daycare program. We just need it, which should be part of the education system. People are born to society. We need to ensure that they receive the beginning that all of us need to grow strong in mind and body. In terms of how it would be funded, it's not a question of cost, because that's what it always comes back to. Can we afford it? And it's not an issue of cost that way. It's needed. It's a right that people have to, as part of the rights that we have as members of society, as workers contributing to society. We need it.
Elaine, thank you. And David?
The Green Party has a national child care strategy that is very important. We do need more accessible and affordable child care spaces, but it would be really great if we could incentivize the workplace so that when their employees comes to work, they can bring their child with them and put them in daycare right where they work, so they can travel together. They don't have to travel to opposite sides of the city. And it's something that if you needed to get to the child in the middle of the day, you can do that for a short time during your lunch break, whatever. That is very important. Now, as for this universal child care benefit, it's not particularly helpful because it replaced a tax-free program to now being a UCCB that is taxable. And once you end up getting the taxable benefit deducted from your income tax, it really doesn't benefit you very much. I think that we need to be above board and find real solutions without trying to switch and bait.
And David, thank you very much. Our next question, candidates, direct your attention to our big screen, will come from Twitter, and it is a question from Kevin. And this will go to Nathan first. And Kevin asks, what will you do as an MP to support accessibility in the workforce? And he tagged me in the tweet too, so thank you very much, Kevin. Nathan?
Thank you. I would make it more available for people to start and create and grow jobs, actually own their own businesses, end the corporate welfare, and make corporations actually have to have a viable product that they can sell and make a profit on their own without getting money from Canadians. I want to make it so that entrepreneurs can be successful, get the government out of the way, and let people actually thrive. I want to reach out to all Canadians and say that you need to be more productive and more skilled. You have to constantly improve yourself. We have to compete. If we do not compete with the rest of the world, we'll all be out of a job. I think that we need to stop raising minimum wage. I honestly believe that that just hinders us. It will only make sure that instead of your child working at McDonald's serving you, it'll be a tablet that you're going to be pushing into to order your meal. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Lorne?
Yes, my office has actually received quite a number of calls about accessibility, and I've been talking to local business owners as well when they develop it. And so my recent conversations with the downtown Hespeler renovation project, where they're talking about like a village kind of thing, they're actually going to incorporate those concerns as they build and as they renovate. And part of our sustainable, predictable infrastructure budgeting for the municipalities and the provinces are a number of aspects to that tied to the accessibility issue. So that we do, when we build a sidewalk, we take that into account and not have to go back and fix it later. And we will help the small business owners with a tax break from 11% to 9% to get them going, and also with the local developers and make it part of the conversation so it's automatic when they have those developing conversations with local business owners and people that need access to all the services that we want to provide in those communities.
Lorne, thank you. Marian?
Well, our government has made a program for accessibility. So accessibility grants are something that various organizations can apply for. And I've seen many of them working in our community. I'd like to make sure that we keep those, that we enhance them, but that above all, that we treat those with disabilities with the respect that they deserve.
Thank you, Marian. Elaine?
Accessibility is an issue for many people in our society. The question is, how are we going to achieve it? It has to be there, just as something that is. How can it be optional? This is the question, is how can it be optional to make something accessible or not? Unless we continue with this, we need a nation-building project in which everyone has rights. Everyone has those rights guaranteed. And that includes those with disabilities, it includes women, it includes the elderly. That's what's required at this time. It's not whether someone has a program that's going to perhaps maybe be a promise that might or might not be kept. If it doesn't include a chance for people to have a say in the direction of the economy, it's going to sink.
All right. Thank you, Elaine. And David.
Thank you. Our federal government has said that we need to have a society that is inclusive, and we have set dates to have accessibility, and provinces have done this as well. These dates are probably going to come and go without proper action on the issue unless we do something differently. What we're not doing right now is having the federal and the provincial and the municipal governments sitting down and talking, having a council of governments where they can discuss issues such as this, and the wishes for the country federally can be related to, and the municipalities can take local action. We maybe have to have bylaws with set dates that are sooner so that we can have these accessibility issues when there's violations going on, we can actually get them remedied. I think it's terrible when we have ramps leading up into businesses where it's supposed to be for accessibility, but there's no button to push to open the door and you can't get in.
All right, David, thank you very much. Marwan.
I've experienced this with accessibility issues myself. Last year around this time, I had a broken foot, and it was very hard for me to get around. But with our historic funding of infrastructure, $125 billion, this is what we need to help with accessibility. We need to fund it. We need to put funding for accessibility, and we will work with the provinces, we will work with municipalities, and we will work with other organizations in the region to address these issues and implement positive change moving forward.
Thank you, Marwan. And I'd just like to remind the viewers watching tonight that if you'd like to get in any email questions still tonight, make sure you do that at thelocalcampaign@rogers.com and on Twitter at RogersTVCable20. Make sure you're using the hashtag localcampaign. We're going to go back to one of our in-studio panelists now. Here is Lorne Wallace, Executive Director of the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce. Lorne?
Thank you. One of the challenges facing employers is finding skilled workers. There's a large difference between hiring a minimum wage person working a counter at a fast food shop or posting something in the back room of a data center, and between that and hiring a highly skilled individual you'd be paying top dollar for, let's say $75,000 a year. There's a big difference in those two employees. But the system treats them all the same. What does your party feel is the solution to get the right people in the right jobs in this country?
Thank you, Lorne. Over to Lorne.
Thank you, Lorne. One of the first things we would do to specifically address that issue is that Mr. Harper promised $30 million to speed up the foreign credential program, and it never happened. So we have pledged to reintroduce it, and I've actually talked to local businesses and the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce and saying that, you know, it's very important to hire locally, and they all want to, and also some of our students that are perhaps at Conestoga College, but you know that's 2 or 3 years away. So when there's an immediate need, we find that a lot of folks, new Canadians that have come to the area, their credentials aren't recognized, and so we need to invest money and speed up that process. It helps the new Canadians in our communities, and it helps our local business as well. So we've already pledged that, and totally agree with the Chamber that it's pretty straightforward how to correct that situation.
Lorne, thank you. Marian?
There's no government in Canadian history that has recognized the vital role that skilled trades play in Canada's economy more than us. We've taken solid steps to encourage participation in the skilled trade as part of our commitment to creating the best educated, most skilled, and most adaptable workplace in the world. We have created the Apprenticeship Job Creation Tax Credit. Now, in 2013 alone, more than 11,000 businesses and almost 70,000 apprentices benefited from this program. There are still positions that can't be filled, more than 20,000 we're hearing. Without action, this number will grow probably to about 50,000 by the end of the decade. But because of the program's success, the Apprenticeship Job Tax Creation Credit, we are increasing the credit's amount by 25%, and we're expanding access to make sure 3rd and 4th year apprentices also are eligible.
Marian, thank you. Elaine?
I think in looking at the experience of the youth in this country, that the question of the apprenticeship program is one that bears investigation. Where are the apprenticeships available? Where are they? The youth are out looking for apprenticeships. Where are they? It's just a question, because it seems like such a sensible way to train the youth, to bring them to work with the older workers, to acquire the skills that they need going forward, to provide the skilled labor that we need down the road. But the question is, where are these apprenticeships?
Elaine, thank you. David?
Part of being an apprentice is being able to go and do some work. If we have a green technology commercialization grant that is going to kickstart the economy by manufacturing green projects and green infrastructure, such as like solar panels that are being built in Guelph, but to expand and invest more heavily in that, and then put $1 billion as dedicated into the apprenticeship programs in key trades for electricity, plumbing, carpentry, pipe fitting, and welding, and boost access. I think that will go a long way towards alleviating the problem. When people want to do apprenticeship work, if there aren't the hours available and enough journeymen to train them, that really hampers their ability to progress. And we need to remedy that by giving them the work and giving them the funds and boost access. Thank you.
Thank you. Marwan?
A couple of weeks ago, Justin Trudeau was in Waterloo, and he announced to the Plumbers Union $750 million that will be invested in skilled trades. That's one of the ways that we're going to do that. And we're also investing $1.3 billion over 3 years to create jobs and opportunity for young Canadians so that they get a strong start in life. Also, a Trudeau-led government will create 40,000 youth jobs each year for the next 3 years through annual investment of $300 million into the renewed Youth Employment Strategy Program.
Thank you, Marwan. Nathan?
Thank you. I love this question. I am a skilled tradesman. I have a CWB certified welding ticket, all position, also flux core. I operate a mobile crane up to 8 tons. I have heavy rigging practices. I've worked all over this province. The best part was that he said we're lacking skilled tradesmen. So then why are people arguing a union tradesman wage? If you understand how supply and demand work, if there's a high demand and low supply, price goes up. If you are looking for a skilled tradesman, contact me because I can point you to any union for any skilled trade you are looking for. And I can promise you there is a man or woman sitting there waiting on the books for a job. Many of my friends must travel all the way across the country to work to support their family. I have friends right now working up in a diamond mine in Northwest Territories. I have friends out west. They are here, and we can give them jobs. If you need a skilled tradesman, track me down on the internet, find my email, and I will point you to the right union hall, and they will give you a skilled worker. Thank you.
Nathan, thank you very much for that. That is all the time we have for questions tonight. We're going to be going into our closing statements very shortly. First, let me say, candidates, thank you for all of your answers. Thank you to our in-studio panelists as well for your questions, and those watching at home and following along on Twitter. Thank you for your questions as well. Candidates will have 60 seconds for closing statements, and we'll start off with Mr. Marwan Tabbara of the Liberal Party.
Thank you very much. The promises of $15 a day daycare will not fully take place till 2024. That's 8 years away. It's just one example of the NDP's unrealistic plan. Stephen Harper continues to take us down the wrong path. Our plan for real change starts immediately. It starts with providing financial support for middle and low-income families. It tilts the tax structure slightly more in favor of middle-class families, and it stimulates our stagnant economy through investment in infrastructure, finding economic solutions to keep existing jobs and create new ones, ensures that seniors get the secure and dignified retirement they deserve. Justin Trudeau will restore our reputation in the global community and make a difference with policies that will make life a little easier, because better is always possible. And on October 19th, I ask for your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marwan. We'll move on to David Weber, the Green Party.
Thank you. We haven't talked about trade deals like the Trans-Pacific Partnership and how they undermine our sovereignty by telling us that we can't make certain laws without being sued, or maybe we can't make certain laws at all regarding protecting our environment, protecting our food safety, workers' conditions, etc. It's very, very important that we understand that the three major parties are all misguidedly behind support for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. They're also misguided in their support for more tar sand and pipeline expansions. They all want some. And we need to look at the fact that we are going to be continuing to lose jobs by putting through Trans-Pacific Partnership. We're going to reduce our wages. And we're also going to be hurting ourselves by not addressing climate change. Those are two very important things I wanted to make sure that you thought about and realize that if we elect some green representatives in government, then whoever ends up forming the next government, we can help remind them that we need to do right by the people.
Thank you, David. Elaine Baetz, Marxist-Leninist Party.
I'm appealing to those 50% of the people who may or may not vote in this election to join us in a nation-building project where we start from the perspective of defending the rights of all, one that defends the integrity of the environment, one that gives us a chance to block this neoliberal agenda that is destroying Canada and sinking the ship on which we're all sailing.
Thank you, Elaine. And we'll move on to Marian.
This election is about who has the proven experience to protect our economy at a time when the global economy remains in a state of turmoil and uncertainty. Yet Canada remains strong. Since the end of the global financial crisis, we have the best growth in middle-class incomes among any of the advanced developing nations. The other parties want a different course. They will replace our low-tax, balanced budget plan with tens of billions of dollars in additional spending to be financed by high taxes and deficits. They'll hike tax on business and on workers, making your paycheck smaller, then implement a carbon tax to make everything more expensive. You know that today there is no better place and no better prospect for your family than here in Canada. On October the 19th, I ask for your support so that together we can continue building the best country in the world.
Marian, thank you. And Lorne Bruce.
I'd like to begin by thanking Rogers for hosting us tonight, and thanks to all for tuning in and listening and for their input into discussions about this very important upcoming election. Having worked in every corner of the region, having raised my family here, and living in Hespeler has given me the opportunity to meet with many of you. For those who know me, you know that I will listen, and I'm not afraid to ask the tough questions, especially when it comes to the best interests of our community. It was my honor and privilege to run for office under Jack Layton's leadership in 2011, and with your help, we can continue that work with hope and optimism. The message has been clear. Folks want change. So on October 19th, let's make history together and elect a government with a conscience.
Thank you, Lorne, and we'll move on to Nathan Lajeunesse. Nathan.
Thank you. Tonight, you heard major parties use words like invest, fund, grants, provide. You need to realize the government has no money. They have our money. When did Canada begin to feel it is acceptable to take money from one Canadian and give it to another Canadian, as long as the forced transaction is conducted by the government? The government should limit their use of the term we when discussing what to do with your money. I believe you are all capable of deciding your own finances. I have reached my limit as to how much I will quietly let the government take from me, and I hope you have as well. I understand the power and the freedom that comes with real skills, real assets, and real friends. I am not standing here because I need your vote. I'm standing here because your children need my vote as a member of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. And with that, I would like to say thank you for watching the local campaign, and thank you to all the candidates running in Kitchener South Hespeler. Do not forget to watch the local results on Rogers TV on 570 News on October the 19th. And before we get going, I'd like to remind everybody watching tonight that we have 4 more of these debates coming up next week. So make sure you tune in for those. And if you're emailing us a question, be sure to do that at thelocalcampaign@rogers.com and on Twitter @RogersTVCable20. Make sure to use the hashtag #LocalCampaign. My thanks as well to Lorne Wallace and Aaron Anderson for being in studio. And thank you for watching tonight. Have a great night.